Garden Zone 5. So today we're talking about seeds that you need to start now for your cottage garden or regular garden this summer. This will give you a jump start on seeds that you can plant that'll be nice little plants to put out there when it's time for you to plant in your garden. So I've picked 10 flowers today that are annuals and perennials, a mix of both, that'll work out in the garden, but they do need to be started indoors, most of them. A couple of them, they do say you can direct sow, and I'll let you know which ones those are. Also, I want to tell you, I started my seeds in the last week, and I'm already seeing sprouts. I am thrilled. After we get done with the 10 flowers, I'll show you my setup here in the office of the plants that I'm growing, and I'm going to continue to add more of those seeds throughout the season. So let's get into this today. So the first one I want to talk about today is Sweet Alyssum. Sweet Alyssum, it comes in different shades, and it's an annual, and it's more, it's a shorter plant. You can direct sow this. So this is one of those that you can direct sow, but if you do start it indoors, you are going to have a jump start on it and have bigger plants to put out when it comes time. Plants tolerate heat and drought, and they have a nice appearance that once they start blooming and they're starting to look spent, you can give them a haircut and shear them down and they will rebloom. They also are a butterfly and bee attractor, and they are deer resistant. So that's a nice one. Oh, and they do have a fragrance. Did I mention that? My Sweet Alyssum that I planted last year had a wonderful fragrance and looked great for a long time. I had put mine in containers, but you can also plant this in the landscape. So keep in mind, a lot of the annuals that I'm talking about today will work well in containers, but also in the landscape. So the next one we're going to talk about is a perennial, and that is columbine. Now, columbine you usually think of as a spring, early summer plant. Usually by midsummer, it's getting too hot for columbine, but it comes in so many different shades, and it also comes in bicolor, so you could get a couple colors. I have a really pretty dark purple one that's out in my garden, and then last year I planted a bunch more, just kind of scattered them all out because they will self-sow and populate themselves every year as a perennial. So that's nice too if you want to add more to that cottage garden. Now these make really good cut flowers to put in arrangements to bring in. And what I found interesting in this when I was researching was they go by different names, and I had never heard this, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But have you heard of columbine being called Granny's Bonnet or Crowfoot? So anyway, that would be a good one to add to your cottage garden. And because it's a perennial, you'll get that benefit that it'll come back every year once you plant it. So another perennial to add is penstemon. Now I have a couple of these out in my back garden, and I planted 2 that are in white, but these also come in pinks and lavenders. So it depends on what you're looking for. They also come, the flowers also can be red. They like full sun, and butterflies and hummingbirds are attracted to these, but they are also deer resistant. Not rabbit resistant, but deer resistant. So if you need some spiky flowers in your garden that'll give that garden just a little added punch, but you can also cut those blooms and put those into a cut bouquet to bring them inside, there's one to add. And the bonus, it is a perennial, so it will come back the next year. Next, let's talk about an annual. How about verbena? So I love verbena. Usually I use verbena in containers though. I like it in my urns. I like it in the window boxes. And my favorite verbena is the Violet Ice Superbena. I think it's Violet Ice. It's that purple color. I'll put a picture on the screen for you. I've used this the last couple years, and I love this color. And it is just prolific. It just blooms and blooms. Now, when they get spent, they can be cut back and then they'll rebloom. Butterfly magnet and deer and rabbit resistant. So if you have either of those critters in your yard that you don't want eating your flowers, they do not like verbena supposedly. So that would be a good one to either add in your landscape or put in containers or window boxes to give that just beautiful cottage color. Now I have a perennial that you've probably all heard of, diathus. And if you've not heard of it as called diathus, it is also known as carnation or maiden pinks. There's a couple different varieties on this. Carnations are a little bit bigger, and the maiden pinks, of course, are a little bit smaller. It comes in pinks, purples, whites, also reds. It is considered the classic cottage garden flower. It's fragrant, it makes good cut flowers, and it is a butterfly attractor to your garden. So that is one you may want to consider adding. And the bonus side of that is it is a perennial. So once you add it, it should be coming back every year for you. It is an annual, but it's one that I have in my garden every year and can't imagine not having in my garden. And that is geraniums. Now, I love the annual geraniums. There's also perennial geraniums, which is a different category. We're not talking about those today, though. We're talking about the annual ones that you need to start from seed now inside, unless you're going to buy the plants at your garden center this spring, summer to plant directly out. Like I mentioned, I have started some seeds. I have never grown geraniums before, and I started geraniums about a week ago for the first time indoors, and within a couple days, I had beautiful little sprouts coming up, and now a week later, they are looking wonderful. I'll tell you about where I purchased them online, so if you're interested, you can go there too to purchase them. But geraniums come in all different colors. They come in whites, they come in pinks, they come in reds, they have purples and peaches, whatever color that you're looking for. And like I said, these are great in containers, they're great in window boxes, they're great in mass plantings in your garden. And hummingbirds really like these, and they are deer and rabbit resistant. So let's talk about another annual, and that would be snapdragons. Snapdragons are just a beautiful plant to add to your cut bouquets with that tall shape. Again, they come in so many different colors, and they come in lots of different sizes. You can get smaller snapdragons. You can get really large if you're looking to use them as cut flowers, or if you're looking more as just a back border plant. Snapdragons, they do not recommend that you direct sow snapdragons, meaning don't recommend that you try to take the seeds and plant them directly out in your landscape or in your containers. You do need to start those indoors, but I will tell you, snapdragons are really easy to start inside. I have probably 4 or 5 varieties that I have started in the last week. And okay, we are going to talk about a flower your cottage garden needs, and you have all different types of options for these, and that would be sweet peas. Now, sweet peas are a vine, so you do need something for them to climb on. That could be a trellis, it could be a fence, it could be an obelisk, it could be wherever you want to have a climbing vine on. But they come, like I mentioned, in all varieties, all different colors. Here are a couple that I thought were really pretty, and these are also very fragrant and make good cut flowers. This heirloom mix. I thought this had really pretty flowers. It's vigorous and heat resistant, and it does get more than 6 foot tall. And then this other variety I thought had really pretty cottage type colors, Old Spice, and it's listed as being intensely fragrant, and it is an Italian heirloom sweet pea. So I thought those were 2 unique ones. I found those on Swallowtail Gardens website, so that would be one that you may want to check out if you're looking to add some sweet peas this year. And you do need to start those inside, as I did try either last season or the season before, I think it was last season, to direct sow those, kind of like you would do a morning glory. I had no success. They didn't come up. So I think if you're really wanting sweet peas, you probably should start them now inside. Okay, so another annual would be stock. Now, you've heard me talk about stock before. I love stock. Stock is my go-to when I am out buying flowers this time of year for cut bouquets. When I go to my grocery store to get flowers, I always gravitate towards the stock. It smells wonderful. It comes in whites and pinks and purples, lavenders, and it is an awesome accent plant in cut bouquets, but also it looks pretty out in your garden. Now, the thing about stock, though, it's kind of like columbine as far as it is a spring, early summer for our zone 5, because once it gets warm, a lot of times stock does not do well. So it does better earlier in the season. It does need to be grown indoors to start with, or you need to buy it at your garden center already in plants. Not a good direct sow type plant. But it does attract bees and butterflies, and it is deer resistant. So if you are looking for something fragrant, put this, if you are going to plant it out in your garden, put it somewhere close to a walkway or somewhere where you sit out in your garden, because it just has a wonderful smell. And it seems like during the day when it gets warmer and that sun gets on it and heats it up, it even makes it more fragrant. So that is a great plant to add to your garden. Okay, so salvia. Salvia is another good one to add to your garden. This is mealy cup sage salvia, though. Also known as Fairy Queen or Victoria Blue. This is a really pretty salvia, gets about 18 inches, early blooming. It starts blooming early in the season and will bloom clear up till frost. Looks good in mass plantings, makes great cut flowers, makes good dried flowers if you want to dry flowers. I do like these in the dark blue. They also come in white, but I like that dark blue purpley color because I do like to use it in arrangements. I think it looks really nice, but I also like it out in the garden. And the bees like it, the butterflies, like I mentioned, enjoy it. That's a good one to add for that color. Okay, another annual, and maybe, depending on what variety you add, it may self-seed and come back the next year, and that is Cleome. Now, I have grown Cleome the last couple years, and now that I've grown it, I would not grow it. I think it is a beautiful annual. Depending on what variety you choose is also the size. Now, the Queen's Mix is the real tall, 4 to 5 foot, and I've had that in the back garden, and that's the one that they say possibly could self-sow and direct sow itself. I have not had that experience in Zone 5. I do have to plant that new each year. And then the Sparkler Mix is the shorter mix, which I planted up by the mailbox garden this year. And it gets about 18 inches. Same flowers. The difference is, if you buy the Queen's Mix, it does have thorns on it. If you buy the Sparkler Mix, it doesn't have thorns on it. And the size is different as far as the height. As far as the flowers, I don't think there's much difference. The Queen's Mix may have bigger heads by a little bit of flowers, but overall, either one of them would be a great addition to your garden. And it comes in pinks, purples, whites. It's also variegated bicolors. So just a wonderful plant to add. It makes wonderful cut flower arrangements when you add that with your roses and your hydrangeas and your salvia. I've done some of those arrangements with that Cleome, and it just looks really pretty. So our final perennial is Veronica. Now, Veronica comes in whites and blues and pinks. I have Veronica in my back garden in white, and it has the taller, spiky flowers on it shape. Kind of reminds me, if I had to describe it, like a foxglove flower shape. Not like the flowers, but the actual form of it being in those more of those flower spikes. Its blooms attract butterflies. It has showy, long-lasting flowers. You can cut these and put them in bouquets. It starts blooming in June and will go until August. So I think that is a great plant for your summer garden because you'll have those colors all summer long. Those are the 10 flowers to start from seed. It's not too late. 2 of the online sources that I would recommend to you is Johnny Seeds and Swallowtail Gardens. Now, they're not sponsored, but I did purchase seeds from both of those this year, and I did get the geraniums from Swallowtail Gardens, and like I mentioned, they're already up and sprouting, so I'm just thrilled with that. And my Johnny Seeds are starting to come up, but they do take a little bit longer just because of the variety of them. So those are both great options for online, but several of these seeds you can also get at your local big box store or your local garden center. So now let's go over and check out I want to show you the geraniums and also show you my setup that I have here in my home office for my garden seeds that I'm growing right now indoors. I'll show you my geraniums that I did a week ago. Look at these. They are just looking absolutely gorgeous, these little sprouts. So I had ordered these, like I mentioned, at Swallowtail Gardens, and I ordered 2 different packs. I did the pink and the white, and you get 11 seeds in each pack, and all of the seeds sprouted. So I am just thrilled with this. And this is my setup here in my office for my seed growing station this year. And if you need more inspiration, check out these videos next.